In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a scalable content team and workflow so that you can easily create, produce, and distribute 100 plus pieces of content per week with a small team. Let's get into it. So the first mistake that I see most people make when they are building out their content workflows is they really haven't clearly identified their team, all the different roles and what their responsibilities and what they're accountable for, and then all of the different types of content that is actually being recorded, and then how we take all of that recorded content and we break it up, repurpose it, and ultimately distribute it to social media. So in this video, we're going to go over just that. We're going to go over your team. We are going to go over the different kinds of content that you might be creating or recording, and then we'll go over some example workflows, and we'll do it in this spreadsheet to really help you break it down, think it through, and then ultimately implement that into your business. Now, this training is actually included in my Content Engine Database program, where we show people how to build out their own automated content system to hit that 100 pieces of content a week mark. But you can go through this same exercise and implement it into your company using whatever system that you'd like. So first, let's start with the team. Let's go over the various roles and what they're responsible for, and then some of the documents that you should start to collect in order to onboard your team properly. So if you're creating content, you obviously have to have a content creator. Depending on the business, this is typically the CEO or the subject matter expert, really the person with all of the expertise that can share that with a specific audience. This is the person that is responsible for filming the content, and in my business specifically, that is me. Now, different businesses might be able to use different types of content creators. The reason why I'm the content creator for my business is because it's really revolving around authority and expertise in a specific subject, so I need to fill that role. If you're selling physical products, you can obviously use other content creators to help you demonstrate your products. Now, the other important role that people really don't prioritize is your program architect. This is the person really accountable for the business results and managing the entire team, reporting to the CEO, or maybe the CEO is actually playing this role for some period of time. This is not an entry level or outsourced position. You can see here that I'm still the program architect for my content program. You really can't underestimate how important this role is. Somebody has to be able to generate business results. They have to make sure that the content creator is making the right content, and they've got to make sure all of these other elements are running smoothly. Now, the next role you're going to need is somebody that actually runs your content system. In my case, I use Airtable, but this is the single person that is responsible for making sure all the content is published on time and all the team members have what they need to be successful. If you're recording video content, you'll have video editors, and you really want to start to build out your onboarding how-to and SOP documents. This is a document that I give my clients to help them get on board with the Content Engine Database, but it basically breaks everything down for them, what they need to understand and how to use the system. This is really going to help bring team members on board easily and also make sure they know exactly what to do. If you're writing any content, you'll need a copy editor. You might need a graphic artist for creating thumbnails and designs. And you might also have a clip designer. This is the person that's responsible for going through all of the long form content and selecting the different clips that you can pull out and make shorter videos that can be posted out to social media. Now, in some companies, the video editors do that, but I also find that some video editors don't like to do that, or maybe they just don't know the business well enough. So oftentimes we have a dedicated person that just finds the clips, and then they send those clips to the editor for editing. So to really build out your team, you want to think all of these different things through. You want to mark down who these specific team members are, and you want to start collecting all of the documentation, the how-tos, the onboarding documents, and the SOPs to really help your team run smoothly. And then for each of these roles, you're definitely going to want to have an onboarding call to make sure that they understand everything that you need them to do. And as you go through those, you can just go ahead and check those off. So now that we have a team, let's go ahead and talk about content types. When I talk about content types, this is really more focused on the recording or the creation part of the content process. This is where you're defining all of the content that is going to be created, recorded, or written, who's going to be doing that, and then any of the recording processes or checklists that you need to have in order to make sure that recording process is as smooth as possible. Now, we're also going to talk about workflows as well, but I did want to make the point that content types are really about the recording, but workflows are really more about the production, the repurposing, and the distribution of all of that content. Because if you think about it, you might have a weekly YouTube video that you record, but you also might have a workshop or a podcast, or you might even record your sales calls or client calls. And even though these are different recording processes, each one of those recordings still might use the default YouTube workflow. So you can see here in my Content Engine Database where we define all of the content types here. You'll see we have a weekly YouTube and we also have a weekly workshop, but they're still using the same YouTube video workflow because everything that happens after recording is the same. But the recording process in itself is different. It has a different recording script. The recording process is different, but the workflow after recording is the same. So what you want to do is write down all of the different types of content that you record or that you write. You want to mark down all the responsible team members that are involved in that process. You'll want to start collecting the recording process and any checklists that go into the creation process. process. We give our clients all of these processes so that they can just get started right away. Here you can see a generic recording checklist. You want to mark down when you want to actually go live with this type of content. And then I like to keep track of the number one blocker right now. Sometimes it's overwhelming when you're creating content. So if you can really focus in on that number one blocker, then it's really going to help you get through the process. And then for each content type that you create, you can go ahead and mark that done. Now, one of the most important parts of this process is really to give each of these content types a priority. What I find is that all of us want to create all of these different things, but if you try to create all of this at once, you're going to get overwhelmed. So you want to prioritize what is going to be the biggest impact for my business, and you want to get each of these items completed before you move on to the next one. Ideally, one content type is giving you business results before you move on to doing a bunch of other things. Otherwise, you will likely sabotage yourself and you will start to create too much content. You'll get overwhelmed and you won't actually achieve any business results with the content that you're creating. And again, if we go back to the team, this is why that program architect is so important, because they're thinking about this from a business standpoint and making sure all of these things that are getting done in such a way that it's actually going to help provide results for the business. So now that we've defined our content types, let's go ahead and explain how we develop a content workflow. So now remember, after we record this YouTube video or potentially a workshop or a podcast, it's going to execute a specific workflow. In this case, we're going to talk about a YouTube workflow. So in a similar way, we're going to map out all of the different things that we want to do in that workflow like we did for the content types. In this case, it's more about what we do with that video, how we produce it, what brand, what channel, what are the transformational notes we need to keep track of. Does this type of content need copy? Does it need an image or a thumbnail? Does it have video or audio? Do we need to create a title? So you want to go through here and map out all of the different things that you need to do to execute a YouTube workflow. So this might seem super obvious, but you need to post that YouTube video. You might rip out the audio so that you can send it to a podcast platform. You want to repurpose that main video into vertical clips. You might also want to post that YouTube video in a square format for LinkedIn. And so for each one of these workflows, you're going to want to assign a priority so that you do them in order and you get them executed properly. You want to mark down the brand and the channel that it's going to be distributed to, any basic transformational notes. And just like the recording checklist in the content types, you want to gather all of your guidelines and SOPs so that your team know how to execute each of these workflows properly. We provide these to all of our clients. Here's a sample YouTube video guideline. It tells the video editor what to do, all of the objectives, tells the copywriter what to do, the objectives. And this is something that we can also integrate into our content engine database. I'll head over to the workflows here and you see we can attach all of these guidelines and SOPs to each of these different workflows so that as our team is working on different videos, you see a video editor here has 2 videos they need to work on. You'll see here that they have access to the specific guidelines that they need to have in order to complete this task. So you'll see here, if we click on these guidelines here, it's going to take us to the guideline on how to create vertical videos, which is attached right here to this workflow, and then therefore comes through on the vertical videos that are assigned to video editors. This part is really crucial because you want to make this easy and streamlined. You don't want people having to go back and forth, make a bunch of mistakes, correct those mistakes, and have that happen over and over again. The process of creating these guidelines and SOPs is extremely important because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you have the same repeat errors or the same questions happening over and over again, which is going to slow you down. It's going to frustrate your team. It's going to frustrate you. And if you're a content agency, this is going to lead to upset clients, and upset clients will often go to other vendors for their needs. You can also do the same with your distribution guideline. This is really centered around once the content is created and ready to publish, how do we actually post it on social media? What are the different things that we need to do on all these different platforms? How is TikTok and LinkedIn and YouTube different? We document all of that so that whoever's posting knows exactly what to do, and they can do that each time without having to ask somebody else, and it's done the correct way. So as you finish up those distribution guidelines, you want to map out all of the team members that are involved with each of the different workflows. You want to think about the go live date. When will we actually go live with each of these different workflows? You also want to map out all of the different workflows on some sort of content schedule, a calendar. We always give our clients a simple calendar so they can map out all the different platforms that they are posting to, the various times that they're posting, how often they're posting, and how the team integrates with that, what they're doing on any given day to meet these distribution goals. So as you develop these workflows, make sure they get added into a calendar that people can see. Again, I think this is one of the best things you can always ask yourself if you're stuck or overwhelmed. What is the number one blocker right now so I can get that fixed? And then you're going to want to execute these workflows one one by one and mark them done as you get them done. And then as always, make sure you carefully mark down the priority for each of these workflows. I can say for sure some of these workflows are going to be more important to you than others. So make sure you complete the most important ones first and then move on to the others. So there you go. That's a simple way to map out your team, your content types, the type of content that you're recording, and then all of the content workflows that need to happen after you're done recording and how the team produces, repurposes, and pushes all that content out to social media. Now, if you found that useful, you definitely want to check out the Content Engine Database program. This program will help you install a automated content system to do a lot of this work for you. You can take all of these plans and you can put them right into the system like I showed you, your recording scripts, your recording SOPs, all of your guidelines. You can map out all your workflows directly in here. It's a proven system being used by big YouTubers, content agencies, or people building out their company brands. It gives you the Airtable database, the Zapier automations, all the step-by-step instructions that you need. And it also includes all of these trainings and these guidelines and calendars to help you accelerate your content process very quickly. So if you're interested in that, check the link below in the description, and I'll see you on the next video.